Great pleasure right now to welcome a woman who has written 29 best-selling books, sold over 100 million in the U.S. alone, and she's really one of the great suspense writers in the business. Her latest is called The Shadow of Your Smile, already at the top of the New York Times best-selling list, and it just came out. We welcome Mary Higgins Clark to the show today. Mary, thanks for being with us here in Sarasota. How are you today?
Always a pleasure to be with you, Doug. I'm just fine, thanks.
I know we have a very good group of people down here in Sarasota that love books, and I'm sure they're going to go right out and get yours, because I know there are a lot of fans of yours down here, I've heard.
Well, that's nice to hear. Well, I go down to the literacy thing, and it's been around,
Sure.
Jeb Bush ran, and I was down just in February with Barbara and the president and Jeb, because they're so active in literacy, and it's usually around the Tampa area.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen your picture in the papers down here coming down, and it's great to have you do that. And I guess when we have authors on like yourself, I always like to ask, especially since you've written so many books already, is it difficult to come up with new plot lines?
No, it's easy to get a plot, because all you have to do is look in the newspaper for the most part, and there's something that I turn into fiction. I just take the DNA of the case. Now, in this new book, I went to the beatification ceremony for a Carmelite nun, who opened many homes for the sick and aged, and is credited with saving the health of a baby who in utero had been badly deformed and was born normal. So that I thought, I want to use beatification in my next book. So The Shadow of Your Smile is that book. So there's always, you go someplace and you say, this is what I want to write about.
I know religion has been kind of a big topic in films and movies the last couple of years, so you're right on top of that one. And I guess this particular book, not to give too much away, but it revolves around a family secret that somebody's trying to keep in a family, and it also involves the Catholic Church as well. So it's kind of a good combination, isn't it?
Yes, I think it's a strong story. I honestly do. And, I'm getting nice feedback and nice reviews on it, which is always what any author, wakes up praying for.
What's your process for writing, Mary? Do you outline everything in advance, or do you just kind of go one chapter at a time, or how do you do it?
Oh, well, you have to know where you're going. It's as though you're going from New York to California, and you don't know whether you're going to go by wagon train or by plane, but you know you're going to end up in California. And in that sense, I know who did it, before I start. I know the why of why the crime, why someone did this. But other things come along the way. For example, in this book, I wanted the character of one of the brothers, and I thought I wanted to be weak rather than bad. And I thought, I know, he's being blackmailed by his old girlfriend. And then when she turns up dead, of course, guess who is the suspect? So that I didn't know until at the beginning of the book. I just didn't know that. But those are the things that make it fun to write. The first 50 pages are tough. You write and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite them. And then there's something happens. The characters are grounded. The main characters are grounded. And they start to take off. And then other people, what else do I need here? I need a scene with the hitman. And what's the hitman like? And, he's kind of that rough and tough bodyguard kind of person, except he's not a bodyguard, he's a hitman. So, and what's his name? And it has to be kind of a tough name, You wouldn't call him, Galahad very well.
I always wondered, how do you come up with names for your characters? I guess you have to pick names that aren't somebody well known, right? How do you go about that?
Well, I keep the dinner list from, we go to an awful lot of black tie affairs. There are so many charities, and I keep the dinner list, and I never take one name. I take, an exact, I'll take a first name and a last name, and do it like that. Now, in this book, an important name in the book, two of the characters are Gannon is their name, Gannon. And the crazy part is that my daughter Carol was finishing her own book, and neither one of us had read each other's this time. Sometimes we'll do it along the way. We were both too busy, and her editor said to her, when she turned in the end of her book, you're going to have to change that name, Gannon. She said, why? She said, because your mother has Gannon all through the book.
Well, you get the first choice, Mary. You're the mom.
Well, mine was based on the name Gannon, so...
Well, you kind of bring up a point before, Mary, and I've asked other novelists this as well, that the characters sometimes do go in a different direction than you plan, right? I mean, once you get into it, and they may take you a different way. I mean, that's not unusual,
Oh, and
is
that's
it?
wonderful. That's wonderful. When the characters are so grounded, they walk out of the scene, and you say, wait a minute, you're supposed to say this? Say, no, that's not my line. Give that line to her. And the character says, but can't you get it? I'm not married. I'm divorced, and which means I'm free as a bird, which means I can play around, which is a plot point for one of them. So that's the kind of thing that that comes up as I'm writing. But it's fun. Once I'm into a book, it's such fun to get back up to it. And I read the last 10 pages, in the morning to warm myself up, the last 10 pages of manuscript, and then I get back into it. And I keep a biography of everybody. I know how fat they are, how thin they are, and where they went to school, so that I know who they are when I write about them.
Well, what's your schedule like, Mary? Do you set aside a certain time of the day where I'm just going to sit down and write, or how do you go about it?
Well, I've been busy doing publicity for the book, for this one, but I already have the next one planned, what it's going to be about and the general outline and the name and all that stuff. So in the next few weeks, when I finish doing the publicity tour for this book, I will be start writing a new one. And the ideal would be to write about 4 hours in the morning, and then be able to call it a day. And the ideal is never totally achieved, because by the time the deadline is up, I'm writing about 20 hours a day and sleeping bored.
Just like when we were back in school and you had a paper due the next day, right? It always came down to the last minute.
I was always the kid who studied the night before.
I did that too. Well, the name of the book is called The Shadow of Your Smile, another huge bestseller, and we've been talking with Mary Higgins Clark. And Mary, give out a website if you'd like. People can get contact with you and get a hold of the book.
Oh, thanks very much. It's a very easy one, MaryHigginsClark.com. No imagination.
Great. Well, it makes it easy for people to find you. And we appreciate you joining us, Mary. We look forward to having you back down here in Sarasota. And when the next book comes out, we'd love to have you back on again. Thanks for being with us.
I would love to be back with you again.